Hey there, spooky family, and welcome to another episode of Original versus Remake. Today we are tackling The House on Haunted Hill. Now, I am a big Vincent Price fan. I literally would love to have this picture of him painted on the wall of my dining room or kitchen because it's just glorious. So we are comparing the 1959 movie with the 1999 movie, and yeah, here we go. So the first thing I noticed was the difference in the plot. So in the original one, Frederick Lauren is hosting a spooky family for his wife, who's the guest of honor, and she has her secret lover there, and she's planning to have one of the more neurotic guests accidentally shoot Mr. Lauren so she could have the millions. And then, of course, her plan was thwarted because Mr. Lauren, it was exposed at the end that he knew of her infidelity and he created all the spooks, and it was a really cool cult and indie film of the 50s, and I loved the ending because it did not turn out to be ghosts, it just turned out to be Mr. Lauren playing on the minds, and who better to do that than Vincent Price? I mean, come on, he is the best choice to play Frederick Lauren. And then in the 1999 plot description, it says that a theatrical millionaire named Stephen Price, love the tribute to Vincent Price there, love the look of the dude that played Stephen Price. Let's see, I had it written down. Yes. He invites, obviously, the guests to come stay at this building, which used to be an old asylum. And, of course, his bitter wife's name is Evelyn instead of Annabelle, like in the first film. And, spooks and haunts happen, and it turns out that it actually is haunted. Honestly, the description itself didn't make me want to watch it. But my lovely spooky family was like, you have to do this, Mercy, you have to do this. So here we are. So the plotline of the remake kind of had me like, okay, maybe it will be like a horror comedy or something like that, or maybe a comedic tribute to the original. Honestly, I think the remake tried too hard. It tried too hard to be gorier. It tried too hard to be, just to outdo everything and all that stuff. It just tried too hard across the board. I love the special effects for the gore and everything. I thought that was a cool concept of having, like, the doctors being seen through the camera when they went through that guest video camera and they see her body being pulled. But some of the effects, like when Stephen Price is being caught up with all the dark souls lost at the end there, it was just... ugh. I don't know. I think I like the fact that in the first one, it really wasn't haunted. It just turned out that Mr. Lauren was just on top of his game and able to defeat his greedy and evil wife, Annabelle. I like that, and it's just more unexpected than the house actually being haunted. It had that shock factor at the end, not like today's shock factors, obviously, because remember, the original was made in 1959, but it was still a shock, because when you do watch the original, you're thinking, okay, that's creepy, but it seems like Mr. Lauren has an explanation for everything, so you're like, okay, wait a minute, this shit maybe not be there, it might be exactly what Mr. Lauren's saying, and then at the end, when he scares Annabelle with the skeleton and she screams like glorious scream queens did back then, and falls into the pit of acid, you're like, God damn you, Mr. Lauren. So it was more of a, oh wow, it was just a creepy old house, and those people very well could have gotten the money. But the remake, I mean, it had some funny moments, some things caught my eye, like special effects and gore. Like, I'm always into learning those things and that stuff, but the storyline was kind of pathetic, if you ask me. I would be interested in seeing a like direct remake, like an updated version of the original House of on Haunted Hill. You know, like kind of have that 1950s Who Done It kind of tribute thing. Now I think that'd be really cool to do. But I'm one of those readers that would actually go to one of those Who Done It parties, so just maybe ignore that. Okay, so let's go on to the ratings for the 1959 version. IDMB, it says 6.9 out of 10 and 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. As for me, I would give it an 8 out of 10. It's one of my favorite Vincent Price movies, and yeah, he was the bomb, and it's a shame that we don't have such an iconic actor like him out there today. Well, maybe like Jack Nicholson or Anthony Hopkins. I mean, they're up there with him, but Vincent Price had that distinctive, creepy voice, and anything that he narrated or was in automatically drew your attention, and that is why I love his films. Even cheesy films of like the 70s and everything like that, anything cheesy. And I can't remember the name of it, but there was like this film in the 80s he was in, and it was a really goofy and weird part. But um, even that, you're just like, wow, what in the hell? Everything he does grabs your attention. And we'll move on to the 1999 ratings. It got a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb and 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I give it a 2 out of 10, mainly because I really wasn't paying attention to the storyline. It just got to like, oh wow, that effect is cool, I want to learn how to do that. It was more of a, okay, it's on in the background. It's definitely a film if you have friends who aren't really big into horror and, you know, they get scared easily, I guess you can put it on. But yeah, and so I will close this video by saying the 1959 House on Haunted Hill is definitely the winner of this episode. If you agree with me or disagree with me, feel free to share with me in the comments below. If you have a suggestion for an episode of Original versus Remake, please leave it in the comments below, or Facebook, or all that stuff, and become a Spooky Family member by hitting that subscribe button. A bunch of weird and kooky stuff is coming your way. Bye.